I'd like to welcome you to our coffee talk today. We are with Mr. James Alberto.
Hello.
Hello. He is with the Curriculum Instruction Office here in the College of Education. He's a graduate teaching assistant who does some very exciting things. If you'd like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh gosh, that might be too much credit. But right now, in addition to pursuing my degree, I teach for curriculum instruction, specifically science methods for K through 6. So I get to teach Block B students, those are undergraduate students that are in their second semester of the professional program, to be elementary school teachers. And I get the semester to teach them how to teach science, kindergarten through 6th grade.
Excellent. Well, today I'm very excited to talk to you a little bit about progressivism.
Awesome.
And what we are going to do and how we can apply it in classrooms and what it really means to teachers in the field.
Okay.
So you can tell us a little bit more about your interpretation of that.
Okay, so my interpretation of progressivism.
Yes.
Well, okay, in thinking about even how to present that thought, it's big,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You could probably speak volumes on that.
Yes.
Specifically, my experience with progressivism in my own classroom started, I think, way before I ever even knew that it was progressivism, or I never knew what to call it, but we did all this learning that was centered around projects. It was really project based, and it was communal learning also. So it was very collaborative in nature, and it was big. The scope of these projects sometimes were a week and a half long. And so as I learned more about just theories of education, it was only then that I figured out that was progressivism that I was doing in action.
Yeah.
So that's really where it started.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, too, teachers, we don't necessarily have labels for what it is that we're doing in classrooms. And we find out later as we learn more about the theories of education, like, wow, that is exactly what I was doing. Yeah. And we can put a name to it. But it's just that really good practice, putting it in place, and then seeing, oh my gosh, when I do this with my students and actually actively engage them in the learning, doing those hands-on projects, getting them involved, that's what I'm doing. I've had other students do the same things, like, wow, I really love that, and that's what I want to do in my future classroom.
Yeah, for sure, with the project-based stuff.
Yeah.
So it was funny, the access that our students have just to information now is crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's off the charts high. I tell my students, I used to tell my 7th grade students, if one of them asked me a question that I knew that they could figure that answer out, probably on their cell phone, be that easy. Yeah. I would challenge them to, why would you ask me that? You have access to literally the world's knowledge in your pocket. Yeah. That's how much access to information they have now. So for me, in just figuring that out for myself, that access is off the charts. So they have tons of access to just information. I don't need to focus as much on that as a teacher. So it's not. So for me, it became very much not about rote memorization or names and dates. I taught science in a classroom. So specifically, it wouldn't be about terminology and vocabulary like it might have been 10, 15, 20 years ago. For me, learning in my classroom, at least with my students, really became more about how can they use this knowledge in their lives, and how can I challenge them to put it to practice, the information, instead of just rote memorization. And that I think really fit into the progressivist model.
Yeah, and I think that makes it so much more meaningful for our students too, if they can actually take it and apply it in their real lives and see the purpose of it and what they're doing with the learning, rather than just learning a bunch of facts and figures and dates and having to regurgitate on a standardized test, so they can see the purpose behind the learning. I think that's what's so powerful for our students today.
Absolutely. So with my undergraduate students now, we start the semester off by talking about what kind of science teacher do you think you'll be? And really, the reason why we do that is because science is just one of those subjects that people either think they're good at or they think they're not good at. Yeah. And it's really funny to me, or it's remarkable that we see that good or not good really follows suit with their science experience in classrooms for themselves as students. So for students that had science teachers or teachers that taught them science, that it was kind of about names and dates and a lot of bookwork and a lot of worksheets. They really didn't like science, and they don't remember a lot of that stuff. You know, it was Dr. Allen who said in his video, he said, rote memorization can be forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't like about it. But if you can somehow ingrain it in them, or if you can have them use it in a way that really matters to them, they're going to remember that forever. And those experiences, too, they remember and they enjoy. So with our undergraduate students, we see there's a very marked delineation between the ones who had a great experience with science, in my example, or didn't have a great experience. It was a little more progressivist over here, a little more experiential based learning versus lots and lots of worksheets, lots of vocabulary, and tests and quizzes.
Yeah, very maybe behavioristic in its approach.
Very much so.
Yeah, exactly.
Very much so.
Yeah. And I heard actually a great compliment from one of your students who said, I thought I wasn't good in science, and then I took Mr. Alberto's class, and I'm like, I can be good at science because of the way he taught it and the way I learned it, and I actually understood it and I enjoyed it, and I could be a good science teacher because of the way he taught me. So I think that's a really great compliment and speaks volumes about your progressive approach.
Thanks. I wish I knew who that person was so I could pay them or something. I don't know.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. So, you know, I will tell you, it's the stuff that we do in the class, none of it's secret.
Yeah.
We do lots of activities and lots of stuff that I would say works hand in hand with a progressivist approach to learning. It's lots of experiential learning.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of you will find this class has been very progressivist approached as well, because we've challenged you to be very hands-on in your learning. We've used lots of technology that some of you have enjoyed, some of you have found a little bit challenging, a little frustrating, but it's also a very progressivist approach because we want you to try those things that hopefully you'll do with your students in the classroom to get them experiential in their learning, get them hands-on, and really challenge those boundaries, you know, move beyond what's a traditional approach in the classroom.
Yeah, and I think that's been great. As someone that's gotten to watch it play out, what you've designed for the class, one thing that I was just floored by is how many opportunities you were able to work in for collaborative work, which is also very progressive in approach. And for an online class, hopefully on the other side of the video there, you've seen that really the class has had ample opportunity for collaboration. And that's pretty good stuff for a distance learning course.
Exactly. We tried. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights about progressivism, and hopefully you enjoyed this coffee talk and get to know James a little bit better, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.